Hey, listeners, welcome to 10x Growth Strategies podcast. This is your host, Preethy Padmanabhan, technology executive, investor, and board member. Today, I have the pleasure of featuring Dr. Vivek Mansingh and welcome him to the podcast. Welcome, Dr. Vivek Mansingh.
Thank you, Preeti.
Vivek has had a fantastic career across Silicon Valley and Bengaluru, and he had the pleasure to work with stalwarts like Hewlett and Packard, John Chambers, and Steve Jobs and Michael Dell. Wow, I can't wait to hear his inputs. His book, Achieving Meaningful Success, is an award winning book, and he will tell us more about all the awards it has won. And his goal from this book is to mentor 1 million people. And I'm glad I got mentored through the book and I had the pleasure of reading it. And there's so many nuggets of wisdom we can't wait to share with you. Let's get started. Vivek, to start off, tell us about yourself and your career journey.
Yes, I'll tell you in brief. I am born in India in a small city called Fatehpur in UP, and I studied up to my grade 12 there in very average schools, government intermediate college, and so on. After that, I did my engineering from NIT Allahabad. I was gold medalist there. And then I got a scholarship to go to Canada and do my PhD in mechanical engineering there. After that, I started my career in Silicon Valley, and I was there for close to 15 years working for Hewlett Packard and Fujitsu, and did my own startup there. And then in 2000, my mother developed a health issue, and we decided to move to India. So we moved back to India. And then I worked on a couple of startups that were bought by Philips and Oracle. And then Michael Dell pulled me into Dell to build Dell's R&D center in India, which has over 30,000 people today. And after I built that, John Chambers pulled me into Cisco, and I helped build Cisco's R&D center, which has over 10,000 people at this point. So that in brief is my career, and then I retired a few years back, and to establish product companies in India, product startups companies in India, I started a venture capital fund called Your Nest Venture Capital Fund, and that funds startups in product from India who want to go global. And that's, in a nutshell, is my career. So yes, like Preeti said, I have had the opportunity to work with David Packard, Bill Hewlett, Michael Dell, Steve Jobs, and John Chambers. And I'll tell you the lessons I have learned from them later. But that's my career in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's lovely to hear you had great success in big companies and startups and built your own startup. Well, why did you choose to write this book, and what are some key areas you've featured in this book?
Yeah, that is a very good question, Preeti. So after I retired from Cisco, I looked back at my career and looked almost 35, 40 years of career. And I said, what is the legacy that I want to leave? And I found that I have done very well in mentoring. And then I gave myself a goal that I want to mentor 1 million people. Now, how do you mentor 1 million people? Nobody has done it before, and there is no established model. So that is the genesis of the book. So I said, let me write a book that will act as a mentor, and that is how I wrote the book. People who have read the book, they can ask questions through social media, and those questions are answered by people who I have mentored myself. So the genesis of the book is to create a culture of mentorship, and the goal was to mentor 1 million people through the book as a mentor.
Wonderful. And in fact, what I found when reading the book was that it applies very well to students or professional, all the way up to CEOs. So it's applicable to everybody.
That's right. That was the biggest challenge in writing the book, how to make the book relevant from high school students to CEOs. And I have emails from all across section of people who have appreciated and learned and put learnings in practice.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Well, I think one of the things I was inspired by is your own mentors. And starting with your mom, one of the stories that really appealed to me, yeah, and I'll let you share more about it, on how she inspired you when you were a young boy, and starting from there and how you got inspired by Steve Jobs and Hewlett Packard. Tell us some of those stories and something that can inspire us now.
Yes, lots of stories. So I think, like I said, I was born in a very small city in UP, which is a pretty backward state. And so the resources were very limited. The schools and high school that I went to were very average. So my mother was my first mentor, who actually sowed the seed of thinking big. And so she was my first mentor. She also pointed me to my role models, which were my cousins or my uncles who had done well professionally and so on. So my first mentor was my mother, and I did well in school. My second mentor was my uncle, who did PhD in physics. So that became my role model, and that inspiration drove me to do my PhD in mechanical engineering. And then the third mentor was my manager at HP, and then so on and on and on. Almost 10 mentors I had in my career. And I have no sort of hesitation in saying that I am a product of my mentors, and my mentors have shaped me into what I am today. So that is why I truly believe that irrespective of age, gender, profession, everyone needs a mentor. And at any stage, you can do bigger and better things by having a mentor.
Fantastic. I really completely agree with that, absolutely. And I've also stood on the shoulder of many mentors, including a dear mentor who was my first mentor at Cisco. Her name is Sridevi Koneru.
Yes.
And you might know her, and
Yes.
she's now a VP at HP, and fantastic to do that. Well, my next question is based on the title of the book, Achieving Meaningful Success. What does achieving meaningful success really mean, and how does one go about that?
Yeah, very good question, Preeti. Most people relate success to professional success. Money, profession, title, etc. But multiple studies have been done across the world which have shown that people who are professionally very successful and seemingly very successful to outsiders actually don't consider themselves successful. So one of such studies, for details you can look at my book, which was done by interviewing S&P 500 CEOs who retired. These are the biggest 500 companies in US and their CEOs. So seemingly they were very, very successful people. And when they were interviewed and asked the question, do you consider yourself successful? Majority of them said no. So what is success then? If becoming CEO of S&P 500 company is not good enough, then what is success? And that is what I believe, that a balanced success is more important than single dimension professional success, right? So I have described in my book a wheel of goals. One should not pursue unidimensional goals in terms of money or profession alone. There are other well-being goals which are important, and these can be relationship goals, they can be spiritual goals, they can be health goals, etc., which is described in the book in great detail. But having professional goals and well-being goals, and then focusing on them in a balanced way, is how you can achieve meaningful success. And this tests you many times, but people who have actually done this and have achieved balanced goals, they are really leading a regret-free life, and they consider themselves successful. I have interviewed many of these people in chapter 12 of my book, for which we can wait a little longer. I'll talk about that a bit later.
Yeah, there's so much to learn, especially like what Vivek said. He has interviewed great stalwarts like Ratan Tata, Narayan Murthy, and Don Chambers, etc. So do continue to listen and learn more from this podcast. Well, one of the things when I did the Wheel of Goals for myself, I really loved it because it was a good thing for starting this year, 2026. Is a good time to do that. And it helped me set my short term and long term goals personally.
Very important. You rightly said short-term and long-term goals. Yes.
Absolutely. And what I also liked is there's another aspect that you talked about being your best self.
Yes.
What are the 5 key ingredients for being your best self that you talk about in the book?
Yeah, very, very good question, Preeti. So you may ask, what do mentors do? Why mentors are so critical, right? So mentors do, in my opinion, two things. One, they help you decide what you want to do, dream big, and they help you achieve that dream, right? That's what mentors do. Deciding in a big way your aspirations is not easy, especially for people who come from middle class background, smaller cities, constrained backgrounds. Worldwide, not just in India, worldwide it is very hard to dream big. So in book I have described one way to make you think big is to say that if God is in front of you, what would you ask? Now there is no constraint. You can ask anything, right? And that makes people think big. So I have used this many times, and people have started sort of creating bigger and bigger goals. So first thing a mentor does is helps you dream big. And then second thing the mentor does is to make sure you become best version of yourself so that you can achieve your dream, right? So that's the job of a mentor. Now, first part is dream big and write down your goals, which the book describes in great detail and gives you lots of examples, whether you are a CEO or you are a student, how to actually create your goals, write them down, and how to create milestones, etc. But then becomes, let's say you want to be a vice president of marketing in some company. Well, now what? Now you have to become worthy of it. And irrespective of your profession, there are 4 pillars that you can use to become the best version of yourself. And these are, one is passion. You have to be very passionate about your goals. So there's a chapter of passion in my book, which actually explains you the power of passion. You may have noticed that all the successful people are very passionate. Passion makes a person superhuman being. And the chapter explains why and how. So you have to be very passionate about your goals, and then you need to build your leadership skills, your ability to think out of the box, and excellence in the core areas where you are good. If you work on these 4 pillars, you will realize your potential, and in most cases you will realize your dream and aspirations as well. So the book lays these things out in a very simple way with lots of examples and helps you achieve your aspirations.
Excellent, excellent. Love the four pillars idea and making it. What I loved is that you made it so simple and easy to understand and follow and execute.
Sure.
And you also talked about the 4 gods that you need to surround yourself with. Tell us, who are the 4 gods?
Yes, that's also an excellent question. There is a chapter in the book called We Need 4 More Gods. So, one God we all pray, we all know, but there are 4 more gods that are ready to help you, but very rarely do we take their help. Who are these 4 gods? Number 1 is people who inspire you. Every one of us can actually name 1 or 2 people who inspire. The question is, have you learned anything from them that you have applied in your life? That is the purpose of creating an inspiration for yourself so that you can adopt one or two good qualities from your inspirers. So book explains in great detail how to select inspirers and how do you identify one or two qualities that you can adopt in yourself. So inspirers is one. The second God is role models. All of us should have a role model because role model gives you a destination point, right? So Preeti, I give example of today. You go 15 minutes on your car, and what do? You start Google Maps, and Google Maps asks what? Destination.
Yes.
Right? So for 15-minute ride, we have a destination. For life, we have no destination, right? So I think role models are a good way to actually give your brain a signal, give yourself a signal that this is where you want to end up. So having role model is very important. And there can be multiple role models in over a period of time. Again, the book explains it very well. So second God is having a role model or the role models. The third is a mentor, and I have been talking about it. I believe every one of you should have a mentor. Today also I have two mentors. I am 70 years old and I have done my professional life. Now I'm still doing venture capital and a lot of social work. I still use mentors. So the third is mentor and fourth is books. We have forgotten the power of books. I believe if you read, senior and successful people generally read the books. Younger ones have forgotten to read books. I challenge each young person to read 50 books and see how it changes your thought process and life. So there are four more gods. Inspirers, all of us should have inspirers. Role models, all of us should have role models. All of us should have mentors, and all of us should read lots of books that can help us achieve our aspirations.
Great, great. Actually, when I was reading all these chapters, it made me recollect who are my inspirers, my role models. Mentors are countless to say. And of course, books, we feature one book every month at least, one
Okay.
or two books in the podcast. So we've now had like over 115 episodes. So
Wow.
quite more than 100 plus books featured, right? So I completely agree on the books part. I do enjoy, I listen to books when I'm
And by the
walking.
way, Preeti, podcasts can also be considered a replacement for books.
Yes.
But not 1 or 2 minutes one. The deep podcast, 30 minutes, YouTube talks, TED talks, those can also be used in place of books to learn.
Absolutely. It's a continuous learning. That's
That's
what I
right.
love.
That's right.
And I'd love to share, a couple of people who have inspired me to talk about what you said, to use at least one thing. What is one thing you can implement? I recollected one of my inspirational people is John Chambers, because I
Okay.
worked 12
Right,
years at
right,
Cisco.
right.
And I was so inspired by his communication.
Yes.
Right? How he could actually take any situation and communicate it in a very polished way. And it has inspired me as a manager on how can I state something, even if it's a difficult conversation, in a very, very clear way, at the same time, very much aligned with what would be good for the person who's receiving the communication.
That's right.
That's
That's
been a
right.
very big lesson I've learned.
So
from
great
him.
that you identified and applied one learnings from your inspiration to your life. Wonderful.
Absolutely. And also I want to share one more, because like lot of one of my inspiration person is Indra Nui.
Yes.
And I share this because I know several women who are listening to this podcast. One of the things that we face is we are having multiple roles in our
Yes,
life.
yes.
And when I became a mom, and when I was looking at who are some people who could inspire me to continue pursuing a strong career, an inspiring career, and she was there. She was rocking.
Absolutely.
Right. So that was what inspired me from her and how she did it. Yeah.
And I'm sure you have read her book. It's a phenomenal book itself.
Yes, and we
Yes.
featured it in our
Oh,
podcast
lovely,
also.
lovely,
Yes.
lovely.
So fantastic. So let's get back to discussing the book here, Achieving Meaningful Success. I did my Wheel of Goals myself. I really enjoyed it. I did all the different aspects that you talked about, not just the career part, but also the relationship, the giving back, the health and spiritual goals. So I'd love for you to tell the audience, how has taking ownership of all the health goals and other well-being goals inspired you and helped you to achieve the meaningful success?
So, very good question. Let me first of all answer a question from my own life on professional goal side, and then I'll come to the well-being side as well. Uh, so, when I was when I began my career at HP, I was 30 years old. I had finished my PhD. I was working for HP. My wife was a homemaker, and I had a small child. Uh, and I gave myself a goal, Preeti, that I wanted to be independent financially at the age of 40, without knowing how I would achieve it, right? And then I decided and wrote down the criteria of financial independent, what it meant, right? Now I had written the goal that I want to be financially independent. This is my criteria, and the time is 10 years. I was 30 years old, and at 40, I wanted to do that. Now see the power of goals and see the power of passion and other things that I talked about. I had no clue how to achieve that. I couldn't do a startup. I had no money. I didn't have green card. My wife was not working. I couldn't leave my job. So how would I achieve it? But here is where the goals and passion kick. After thinking quite a bit, I realized that what if I invent something and license it to a company and earn royalty on it without affecting my job at HP? And so this idea came because of the goal, because of the passion. Now, this idea was very appealing. Now, invent what? Again, passion kicked in, and I found a problem, and I decided to work on an instrument. It is all described in the book, so people can read it in more detail. But I then invented an instrument which I licensed to a Boston company, and that made me financially independent before the age 40. So first of all, just see the power of goals, power of passion, and so on. Now you will say, how do you measure passion, right? Let me tell you one or two instances during that period. When I was doing that and trying to invent this instrument, I would get ideas at night. During the day, I'll work for HP. And I had chosen a problem which was not related to my work in HP, so that there is no conflict of interest. So at night, I will get ideas about this invention, and then I will not sleep because I was worried that I'll forget the idea by morning. So my wife said, why don't you keep a pad and paper next to the bed, write the idea and go to sleep so that next day you can work on it. That is the measure of passion, right? You really are involved and engaged and very, very passionate about your goal. So within a year, I developed that instrument. I filed a patent and then licensed it and became financially independent, right? So this Preeti highlights the professional goals. And then I achieved many, many other goals. And I'll give you just one or two examples of thinking big, right? So financially independent by 40. Without knowing how I will achieve it, the solution came. Then I gave myself a goal that I wanted to be number one in my field in United States. Now you will say, what kind of goal is that, right? But I did become, and my mentor became Professor Viram Bar Cohen, who was professor at University of Minnesota. And the story is in the book. I'm not going to go in detail. But to cut the chase, I became number one in my field in United States. And that is how Steve Jobs picked me to work in his team when he came to Apple the second time. And my prized possession is a poster that he gave me where it says, Vivek and team couldn't have done without you. Signed Steve Jobs, right? So phenomenal achievement. So here are the examples of having big professional goals and achieving them through passion, through thinking out of the box, through excellence in your area of competence, and through leadership qualities. All the things that I described earlier. Now come to the other side, Preeti, you asked, a well-being goal. So for me, in well-being goal, relationship became very, very important. and relationship to your parents, relationship to your spouse, relationship with your children and others. So in 2000, my mother, who was living in India, she developed kidney issues. So we took her to US. We were living in Saratoga in Bay Area. And the doctor at Stanford said that she has 6 months to live. Now, here is your test, right? I had started my company just 2 or 3 years before that. And here is where my mother and father needed help. They became very sad because both me and my brother were in Bay Area. So now well-being goal became so important that everything else became less important, right? So I gave up my CEO position to my successor, and I decided to move to India. Now, equal amount of credit I must give to my wife. So I told my wife that this is a challenge, and she supported me, said that let's move to India. My older son was in 8th grade. My younger one was in 5th grade. They were born in US, educated in US. I even asked them to write an essay about moving to India. But the bottom line, Preethy, is that we moved to India. Without any job, I had never been to Bangalore before. And it is the entrepreneurial spirit in my genes, if I can say that, that made me make this very difficult move, which 9 out of 10 people can't. But for me, and this question has been asked to me many times, the value system made it very easy for me. Importance of well-being goals and relationship being one of them, it made it very easy for me to make that. By the grace of God, everything worked out. She lived 2.5 years, not 6 months as Stanford had predicted. And then after that, I took care of my father. He lived up to 90. And we are very proud of the fact that we were able to help them at that stage. My children did very well. One went to Berkeley and University of Michigan. The other went to Babson and went to Duke. So God has been kind, and they helped me achieve both sides of the goals, the professional goals and the well-being goals, including relationship.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that whole journey, right? It's very inspiring. And when you shared the story about like how you wanted to achieve financial independence by the age 40, what I really loved about that is writing down your goal and setting a target.
That's right.
That takes courage. That takes boldness, right? Because we can write our goals, but if we don't set a target for ourselves, then we can just keep on pushing the deadline.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So goals by definition have to have a timeline. So whatever goal you decide, it has to have a timeline.
Yes.
So I still have goals at my 70 years age, so I can talk about it if time permits.
Absolutely. Would love to hear. Do share what are some goals you have set for
So
yourself.
at the age, so I retired from Cisco at 60, and I sat down and I said, okay, time to reinvent my life. I am not a person who can retire. So here are the goals that I gave myself. Number one was to help create 5 unicorns from India in product space. Technology, product space. India is known for services, but not so much for product. And the goal was to create 5 product companies which are globally successful. Goal number 2 was to create 50,000 jobs in India. Goal number 3 was to mentor 1 million people, the book we are talking about. Goal number 4 was on social side. So I have built a hospital, an eye hospital, and a handicapped children's school in city where I come from, Fatehpur. And goal number 5, 6, 7 are related to relationships and so on. So these were my goals at the age 60, and every one of them has a timeline. And as I have mentioned in the book, Preethy, every Christmas I actually evaluate myself and give myself grades, and that helps me refocus some of the effort. If I am lagging behind in some goals, then it gives me time to refocus. So goals are very important, and they are very much fun.
Absolutely. No, I think it's very inspiring. In fact, I can resonate a lot with some of the goals that you said because I also personally have set myself a goal to mentor at least 1,000 startup
Wonderful.
founders and create 100,000 jobs in the next 10 years, right? So, in fact, I had embarked on this being part of the Thai Silicon Valley and, I mentored like 30 to 50 startups in the
Wonderful.
last couple of years, and also got to address some 200 to 300 startups in many of the Thai events and sessions. So I want to continue doing that from a
Lovely.
professional and also from a relationship and health point of view. Like, I've been teaching the meditation classes with Art of Living and also practicing personally. So thank you for sharing that. And I think our listeners will be greatly inspired by that.
So 2 points more I'll mention that will help them. People who are questioning, do goals really help? Well, let me give you an example. I'm willing to take you to Brazil and Argentina football match and remove the goalpost. Would you watch it? You won't, right? Because there's no goalpost, there's no goal. So similarly in life, it is very important to have goals. Absolutely critical. And second point is we'll come to the people I have interviewed, right? So in chapter 12 of my book, I have interviewed 11 people, and the idea was the earlier chapter on four gods. Remember, in four gods, the first god was people who inspire you. So I have interviewed 11 people who have inspired me. And these are who's who of global personalities. From India perspective, almost everyone has received a Padma Vibhushan or another government recognition. So these are phenomenal people. And let me name some people from there who are global in nature. Mr. Ratan Tata, who was head of Tatas, Mr. Narayan Murthy, who built Infosys, Dr. Devi Shetty, who is the heart surgeon and who has established Narayana Hridayalaya, Rahul Dravid, who is a cricketer from India, Kiran Majumdar, who has built the global company Biocon, John Chambers, of course, chairman of Cisco, and so many other people. These 11 people I have interviewed who have inspired me personally, and I have tried to learn from each one of them something or the other. These interviews are worth reading because they are not generic interviews. They are interviews on a specific thing that they have done very well. For example, Rahul Dravid on excellence. Rahul Dravid, if you don't know, is one of the best cricketers the world has produced. So, creating excellence. What did he do to create excellence? Mr. Narayan Murthy on leadership, John Chambers on mentorship, etc. So, enjoy these interviews. They are also on YouTube. They are also summarized in my chapters. And pick up one or two things that you can learn from them and then apply them to your life. Common learning from all of these 11 people, Preeti, has been number one, aspire big. They all have aspired big. Number two, they are very passionate about their goals. They are not taking it lightly, right? Number three, they have worked very hard to become worthy of achieving their goal. Number four, they have remained very grounded. All of these people have remained very grounded in spite of their success. The humility is there, and they have given back to society in a big way. So all of these people have done it. So we can learn from all of them that, hey, in my own way, I am not Narayan Murthy, I am not a Rahul Dravid, but in my own way, I can still do these 5 things which will help me achieve meaningful success.
Excellent. Wow. I feel so honored to have this opportunity to be here with Dr. Vivek Mansingh. So, Vivek, you mentioned that there are a lot of awards that you got. Tell us about the recent award you got for the book.
So I just last weekend actually, Golden Book publication has given me the award, Best Book Award in the self-help category for this book. They had reviewed over 7,000 books in different categories, they told me. And it was a wonderful event at Pune, in one of the hotels in Pune, and they gave me this award. My college, engineering college and IT Allahabad gave me Lifetime Achievement Award, of course, for other achievements as well, but the book was also a big part of it. One other thing about the book, which I should mention here, Preeti, is that all the earnings from the book are being donated to an eye hospital, which I support. And so 100%, not part of the earnings, 100% of the earnings are donated to an eye hospital. And let me take 30 seconds to explain what is so special about this eye hospital. This is the single largest eye hospital in the world. In the world, they do 1,000 surgeries a day. 85% of them are free for less privileged people. So all the earnings from the book go to this hospital, and that is another wonderful thing about the book, that it is helping lots and lots of people who are less privileged.
Well, don't wait. Just go ahead and get the book and benefit from it, and also keep in touch with Vivek here through social media, like he mentioned. So, before we let you go, any final insights for the audience from your end?
Yes, I think a few things I will just reiterate rather than say. Number one, irrespective of where you are in your life, find a good mentor, right? You will say, where do I find a good mentor? Well, first start with the book, right? And then find your inspirers, your role models, write all these things down, and that will give you a way to select your mentors. And when you are ready, the mentor will arrive. Trust me on that. In India, this saying is very common, that Guru arrives when the disciple is ready. So that's where. So one, get a mentor, read the book, act on what the book says. That is the crux of it. Write down your goals. Become worthy of your goals. Don't be afraid to aspire big. And if you have questions after reading the book, approach me through social media. I am on LinkedIn and other social media. I'm happy to answer your questions. And let me just say that, Preeti, last time I checked in Amazon, there were over 100 or 80 or so reviews, and it had 5 stars, all 80.
Wow.
Right? So it is helping people. That is the idea. So please read the book, act on it, and if you come across any challenge, feel free to reach out to me through social media. I'm here to help, and I wish you lots and lots of success.
Well, thank you so much, Vivek, for being on the podcast. And it is really exciting to see that you're going to mentor 1 million people through this book. And we appreciate your time. Listeners, check out the book, Achieving Meaningful Success. Thank you again for being here with us.
Thank you, Preeti. Enjoyed talking to you.